Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Ed from My Bringback. I am watching a video by Ed from My Bringback, which is one of the more recent ones we've made here in Python. This thing garnered a comment from folks on the internet, and it says, can you please at least respect naming conventions? To which I say, whoops. Yeah, commenter is absolutely correct. That's something we should have been paying attention to the whole time. So we are going to take a step back today. I know that I've given it lip service previously, or mentioned it, but there are standards for how we name things in Python. And now that we have enough of those things introduced to us, we have at least the concepts of what all these various pieces of Python code are, we should look at how we ought to name them. So we're going to step through some of the important features of that PHP documentation today and look at Python naming conventions. So this is it. This is PHP, which is a style guide for Python code. This is an expansive document, and it starts with some explanation about why the style guide exists and how it ought to be interpreted. This section I'd really recommend that you read to yourself to understand what the authorship has in mind when they're making this thing and sort of their perspective. Now, I could, if I wanted to, try to take refuge in this notion that consistency isn't the end-all be-all, but because I'm trying to teach, it's worth teaching the right way. And so we're going to take a look today just at naming conventions. Now, there's more than naming conventions in this document. We talk about code layout, we talk about comments, and all the rest of those types of things, but we're just going to look at the naming convention section to make sure that we do a better job complying with it. So thank you so much to our commenter for calling attention to that. Let's go ahead and learn. Alrighty, so the first thing they have for us in terms of a specific set of instructions for naming pieces of code would be class names, and they encourage us to use the cap words convention, so I'll show you what that means. That means we name our classes like this, where we capitalize the first letter of each word. They call it cap words or camel case. Makes pretty good sense. So not like this for classes, which is what I did in that video that garnered the comments of Duck Lord. The first letter wasn't capitalized, or you wouldn't want to do it with underscores if you were looking to comply with convention, which is generally a good thing to do. So that's a brief look at classes under PHP. Alright, the next thing mentioned in PHP that we've spent significant time on this video would be functions, and functions are simply to be typed out in lowercase letters. If you've got multiple words, it's best to separate those with an underscore for readability. So Python, look, they're following their own conventions. We've seen print, we've seen raw input. These other things here, shoot lasers, get money, those would be acceptable function names under PHP. These are real simple, lowercase letters, underscores, not that tough. Now for methods of classes, you're going to want to use basically the same convention you do for functions. So if we change our heading here to class methods, we could say something like spaceship dot shoot lasers, or playa dot get money. Those would be method definitions, and you would just use for the methods themselves. Obviously the classes are different, but for the methods themselves, lowercase letters, underscores to separate words, just like you would with functions. Now, if you're the type of person that's going to go ahead and read this whole document, you might say, Ed, you're skipping an awful lot of information. Even in the naming convention section, I'll tell you, yes, there's absolutely a reason for my doing that. We haven't spent time on really talking about what it means to have global variables or to have the use of constants in your program, or to throw exceptions or errors, all of which are things we really should get to, and we really will. And that's why I haven't spent the time today exploring how we ought to name them. But for those things, those concepts which we have developed, we now have naming conventions, and for the future, we will continue to use them. So thank you so much to the viewer who provided us with the comments. I implore the rest of you to do the same. Apply a critical eye to my work. I said in that very video that got the comment that what I'm doing here is equal parts enthusiasm and ignorance. So we're going to cure me of my bad habits. We're going to teach you some good Python, and we're going to keep making these videos. Again, this is Ed from My Bringback. I urge you to engage us, to give us your thoughts, give us your criticism, and we'll do our very best to respond with better product each and every day. Thanks much. Come on back.